Every time we choose what feels familiar over what feels true, we delay the life that's meant for us. Our new life begins once we release our limiting beliefs, outdated thinking and behavior patterns, and environments that influence us to shrink for the sake of someone else's comfort. Because every time we choose comfort and keeping the peace over truth, we delay the clarity we need for the life that's waiting for us, the life ingrained in truth, sovereignty, and alignment. Because if you can imagine this life, you can start moving toward it. But in order to have both feet on the path towards that life, your old self has to go. So in this video, I'm going to share how to tell when you've outgrown a version of yourself, how to trust yourself enough to take the next step even when you can't see the whole path yet, and finally, how to honor your decisions without guilt for choosing yourself first. There's a version of us where we had to think and play small in order to survive. We had to dim our light and put on masks for the sake of keeping the peace, suppress our nature because we'd rather suffer through that than deal with potentially being isolated and left to die. Playing this version of ourselves helped us get to the love and care we needed to survive. But as we grow up, we realize that the thinking and behavior patterns that once felt safe now feels restrictive. They feel frustrating, boring, and heavy. And for me, it usually manifests as depression or just me outright going batshit crazy. When a relationship, environment, or situation starts to feel suffocating, it usually means they've been outgrown and the universe, God, spirit, is telling you, hey, I have bigger plans for you, so I'm gonna need you to grow. In nature, we see this happening when a caterpillar becomes a butterfly, and for this transition to happen, it leaves its old form behind to embrace a completely new way of being. So in life, this means choosing to no longer be dragged by relationships that kept us stunted, jobs that imprison our soul, and living environments that no longer support who we're becoming. In physics, there's the concept of entrainment, where it's defined as two interacting systems with their own rhythms adjusting to sync and vibrate in harmony. So an example of this is a leaf drifting in a way that mimics the flow of the wind. Another example is when you're out in nature, your body and nervous system automatically adjusts to the rhythm of the natural world, which feels calm, steady, and in harmony with the soul. So typically when I step out into the quiet, starry night sky, my mind starts to synchronize with the expansion and stillness all around me. In order to step into the next chapter of my life, I had to let go of people and situations that no longer aligned with where I was heading, so that I could make space for the entrainment of who I'm becoming. I did this recently when I separated from my husband. I encountered a catalyst experience that woke me up from an outdated way of being that was blocking my growth. It had me confront situations that were stunting me energetically. And by the way, a catalyst experience can be any event where we encounter something or someone that shakes up our entire world to where it starts breaking off pieces that were weighing us down in the first place. And the more I paid attention to my body, the more I became aware of subtle internal pulls. Kind of like a knowing that I can no longer go back to the old way of being. Then I started to encounter a strange amount of signs and synchronicities. When we encounter inexplicable signs and synchronicities that somehow feel way beyond our understanding, it often reflects that we're aligning with a direction that's true for us, the path of clarity, truth, and wholeness. Signs are a form of energetic reciprocity, and they appear when we're aligned with a life track we're destined to be in, but at the same time, disappear when we apply too much importance or force on it. Trusting yourself starts in the body. For me, I pay attention to what my body is feeling when I think about a certain decision. Like, does this decision make my body feel expansive, light, and energizing? Which often means, yup, this is for me. Or does it feel draining and heavy? Which means, yeah, this is not for me. I also do things like lighting up candles to stare at the flame, because staring at fire always grounds me, and so does nature walks and journaling my raw thoughts after. So, the more I made decisions and took action from a state of ease in my chest, a sense of openness in my body, and a gentle, steady pull towards something, amazing life opportunities started showing up out of nowhere. To truly honor our decisions requires a certain kind of effort that I'm going to cover here. This kind of effort is needed to clear any mental or emotional blocks, like the times where we do something out of our comfort zone and afterwards we're like, wow, I'm really glad I did that. I call this conscious effort. This effort is useful when it's intentional and aligned with our wave of fortune, because here we're positioning ourselves to where opportunities will occur to us. For example, I've been focused on growing my personal finances lately, and to honor this path, I've put in conscious effort by investing money and time into courses and a mentor that will guide me in this space. So whenever I get an impulse to spend money, I put in conscious effort to slow down and go through a mindful assessment of how this purchase will bring me sustaining value in return. While it feels annoying at times to slow down my impulsive nature and put the learning into practice, the mental and physical strain of doing so helps me reconnect with the goals I'm consciously working towards. And once I remind myself the intentions I put into place, my why, the action in and of itself starts to feel effortless. Conscious effort, rooted in pure intentions, won't lead us astray because it's not forcing outcomes. Instead, it cooperates with the way of the universe, God, spirit, unseen forces beyond the material world. And anything in the material world is impermanent, so conscious efforts work best when they're guided by our presence, alignment, from a state of calm, acceptance, and detachment of what is, instead of assigning force over importance and attachment of what it should be. As I step into a new chapter where I see a version of myself earning financially more, doing what I love, I started to let go of mindsets and behaviors that kept me financially stunted. Like, I used to refuse being in financial debt, so I would make sure I have enough money first to invest in a certain training program that costs thousands and thousands of dollars without realizing that debt can be a tool to leverage resources for creating wealth. So I'm honoring the version of myself where I redefine financial debt as a conscious risk worth taking, as long as I set an intention for it to leverage my income potential. And that redefining goes with anything else. I had to say goodbye to my old life, to the marriage, relationship habits I had that were self-abandoning. I started treating my energy as my most valuable asset and really became conscious in how I allocated it. I tuned into myself more, reflecting on missing and wounded parts that I had projected onto others and started healing and integrating them into my psyche. I dropped all effort and investments that I normally would give in a romantic partnership and instead redirecting that energy into myself and the direction I'm heading towards. So whatever aligns with this new way of being remains part of my life, and what doesn't self-eliminates over time. And that, my friend, opens up space for new people, opportunities, and experiences that resonate in that space. And vice versa. I too self-eliminate from people and opportunities due to a misalignment in direction, values, lifestyle, and in doing so, only reinforces my inner North Star. To not honor and integrate the truths that emerge from every experience I've had would be the biggest disservice to the universe, myself, and anyone involved. I want to end on that. To step into a new version or chapter doesn't always mean needing to have a new job, be in a new location, or even starting or ending a relationship right away. To me, it means releasing versions of us that kept us stunted, letting go of patterns, people, situations, beliefs that we eventually outgrew, and honoring what it taught us, then moving forward with self-trust, even when it's uncomfortable. As we travel into new chapters over time, people or situations from old chapters might show up. However, the goal is to not cling on to that, but rather loosening our grip and letting go, because this honors the natural rhythm of life, creating space for entrainment with new frequencies and opportunities. People and opportunities simply enter, exit, and sometimes may even stay, and it's all based on alignment, growth, and timing. Attempting to force any of this, like people pleasing or manipulating others to stay or behave differently, will only distort our clarity and put us in unpleasant outcomes. Unseen forces and energies orchestrate our own metamorphoses. Our part is to move with it consciously, honoring its natural rhythm. Now, let's take a deep breath together. And always remember the magic that is within you. Till next time.